I really wanted to get to know the answer with all the data I had, which would be, is it actually cheaper to go somewhere to the suburbs of Munich? And could you, would it really help you to find something way cheaper? And the answer is...
The Madness Tech community connects tech enthusiasts in the field of data, front-end, product and cloud native. Twice a week, on Mondays and Wednesdays, you can find new talks and interviews from the community on this channel. Subscribe now and feel free to join our community and meetups. Events and groups are listed below, and now follow us into the rabbit hole.
Hi everyone again. I'm really happy to give this speech and thanks for this opportunity. So this one is going to be more like a true story which I experienced last year. So, and as you can see, the title is that Data Science in the War of Flats on the Rental Market in Munich. And I decided to put on the first slide this nice screenshot I made once when I saw that one flat increased in price by 600 euro. And I was like, wow, that's gonna be tough. Anyway, I bet that most of you still live in Munich and you can really relate and understand how tough it is here to find a flat. And I just recently found this awesome UBS Global Real Estate Bubble Index, and guess what? Munich is on the first place. And also on the right, you might see this screenshot I've done. Basically, when we started looking for a flat, I decided to check out who would be my rivals. And I registered a second account and decided to make fake ads, which would be a perfect flat with 1.5 rooms and 62 square meters. And it would cost only 1.2. And you can see there would be around 8,000 people who have the same search alert, which might make it tough to compete with them. Also, I'm going to tell you a secret. I got so many emails, literally the first hour, probably 500. And the people who contacted me had great salaries, which I wouldn't be able to compete at all. So anyway, it all started last August. Me and my girlfriend, we decided to move in together, and after 1 month of looking for a flat, we were really exhausted because it took a lot of time to manually check every message and every ads and notifications, and it was just not fulfilling. We were not going anywhere because we got several visits, but it was still, we didn't get any yes. And the prices were crazy. And also a lot of people from Munich, they told me that, it can take you up to one a year or even more to find something good. I mean, quality, price-wise. And so that's when I decided that I should automate this process. And on the right side, you can see a screenshot from my Telegram bot, which this is actually, let's say, the end product. So which I would get a notification and automatic apply for the flat. Because as you might know, that the best flats, either in Munich or in Berlin, they would usually be deactivated in the first 30 minutes because there would be too many people applying for it. All right, so, and then I started analyzing what the market is. And basically Germany has 3 big websites for real estate rental. This is basically ImmoScout24, WG-Gesucht, and Immobilien Scout. WG-Gesucht and Immobilien Scout, they have sometimes good offers, but as you might know, they are way less good offers than on ImaScout 24. That's why when I started this project, I was not even considering those because, let's say, it would be useless. And exactly that's when I just wrote a little Python scraper to get the data from ImaScout 24. And what I have to tell you, for example, for me, it was interesting to get things like the data, obviously price, number of rooms, square meters, and cost. And for that reason, I hosted a DynamoDB on AWS, where I started slowly gathering this data. And also, at some point, I started gathering, saving pictures on S3. Regarding scraping ImaScout 24, back then, 1 year ago, basically, it was pretty easy because they didn't have this awesome anti-bot system. And you could always just go through their previous anti-bot system by changing headers, rotating IP addresses, and I hosted also the scraper on Amazon Lambda, and there was a pool of IP addresses which actually helped a lot because it was almost I never been blocked, I guess, before, and it has changed. And yeah, also, for example, if you can see here, and this is let's say the URL, which is for the search URL. And how anti-bot system works, it would try to block the most the requests which are like repeated, especially too often. But if you do this, there are like super funny tricks which you can do. For example, changing the price randomly from 1.5 to 1.499 and stuff like that, and it would do the deed before. Yeah, so scraping ImaScout, getting data was relatively easy. And here is a little outlook on the cloud infrastructure. So as you can see, that was ImaScout. It was scraped by the script which was hosted on AWS Lambda. And AWS Lambda is an event-driven serverless computer platform. Basically what you can do, most of you probably know about it also, you can run scripts there and execute them by many different triggers. Like, for example, I was executing it every minute or 30 seconds, so I can get the most fresh flat. And yeah, and after the data was scraped, it would be saved on Amazon DynamoDB, and pictures would be saved on Amazon S3. Why I chose DynamoDB? Because I actually didn't really know what I will be scraping in the end and which data I will be working with. That's why I just chose this database. And also DynamoDB can host pictures, obviously, but there was a limit on the size of pictures, and that's why I decided to save them on S3, because I had plans to maybe process them later. Yeah, and as soon as there were new flat offers, it would be sent to Telegram. So this infrastructure was awesome and it worked pretty well, but I have to tell you about a little bit about CI and CD. Lambdas are really great, especially if you want to execute some really short scripts and in a limited amount of time. And setting it up is pretty easy. They're also extremely cheap. Yeah, you don't need to manage server resources. For example, EC2 would be just, Amazon EC2 would be just a big overkill for this task. And the issue with Lambdas is that it's hard to test and debug. And also deploying, when you deploy external libraries, it's just getting messy because you need to save all the libraries and compress them and then upload manually. And that's why I wanted just to show this beautiful CI/CD, because there are also obviously other ways of doing that. But this is my preferred way, for example. And so basically it was all based on GitHub hooks, which are compatible with AWS CodeBuild. And basically on every commit to the certain branch, the code would be built on AWS, then it would be stored on S3 and like the deployment package, and then it would be uploaded, like deployed on Lambda. So if you ever do some kind of project like that, I would really recommend this structure. All right, so and let's start a little bit with data analysis. Here's the screenshot of the most of the fields of the database I got in the end, and I have data for 3 months. So as you can see, I stored web links. I stored things like when the ads were posted, because it was very interesting that you cannot actually get anywhere on the web scrape on the website the amount of time the ad was alive. And I calculated in the end, and it was 1.5 hours, the average time until the ad is deactivated. Yeah, obviously you can see here's another important data point is the area address, full one. I mean, some of the data was, let's say, pretty dirty because ImmoScout doesn't control everything too well, and that's why I had to obviously do some data cleaning. Here you can see a description, the available move-in date and price, number of rooms, and funny field, pets are allowed or not, and the image link. Yeah, I have to also say that this data has been collected for 2 and 3 room apartments, because that's what we have been looking for. And here is just a little snapshot of the libraries I used. Basically, it's nothing super crazy for this project. Okay, and here's the first graph. And it's called like how pet friendly Munich is. And it's not at all, as you can see, because literally having a dog in Munich, I don't know how many of you have a dog or a cat, but it sounds like a really big deal, because it's only 2.8% of landlords would allow a dog. And I mean, let's be honest, not specified probably means no. And for me, it was a big surprise actually to see it, because like in English garden, you see a lot of people owning pets. Okay, this one was extremely funny as well. So I got all the titles of ads all together and made a word cloud out of it. And so basically, for those of you who don't know, the bigger the font is, the more often it appears in the title. So, and as you can see that the most important things in Munich are probably balcony, like ruhige and helle. So you can see it in most of the ads. And like Erstbezug. Yeah, which is that's how things are being advertised, even those ugly flats. All right. So, and also because as you remember, I had data for the addresses. Then I used the Google Geocoding library to actually get the longitude and latitude, and then print it on the map. And yeah, here basically one could see how the distribution of the flats of rental flats in Munich is done. And one of the crazy thing I found was, it was on the left graph, as you can see, it was extremely weird. Why would Bogenhausen have more number of listings than in Pasing, for example? For those of you who don't know, Pasing is let's say a pretty new area, or at least the area where there is a lot of new buildings being built. And Bogenhausen is more like, French beautiful area of Munich, where it's extremely hard to find something, and you have to be like a perfect family to live there with a lot of money, obviously. And then I was checking some of the data points by the latitude and longitude, and I realized that Bogenhausen was actually advertised like people were lying. It was mostly Oberforing, which was actually in the ad, but they were trying to make it look cooler. Yeah. All right. And this question came to me at some point also, and I really wanted to get to know the answer with all the data I had, which would be, is it actually cheaper to go somewhere to the suburbs of Munich, and would it really help you to find something way cheaper? And the answer is pretty much no, except of maybe Pasing, which would be extremely cheaper. But it's always like that you would save time, save money, but probably you will lose a lot of time. And as you can see, the average price is pretty much not being varied. Yeah, and so for I also made this little map plotting to just visually have a look on Munich. And yeah, another cool thing was that I could find some data from one of the real estate agencies, which was published in back 2015, and they had published the price of the square meter of like rental price, and there was no data, for example, for 2019 or 18 or any other year. And it is pretty weird, I guess. For example, ImmoScout could have made a yearly, let's say, report on it, because it's just so great to get some insight about the rental market, and they have a lot of data on it. And as you can see, the growth in 5 years was pretty strong. It was maybe not beating all the stock markets, but it's definitely a good investment, real estate in Munich. Yeah, and there are also some little calculations that if you ever will look for a 2-room apartment in Munich, you should try to stick to this price of 1,050 euro. That is the golden middle. And yeah, and that's pretty much actually how much I'm paying in the end, because I had incredibly funny offers. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. I don't know how many of you live in Bayern, in Bavaria, but sometimes it's a bit irritating that everything is closed on Sundays and also after 8 o'clock or even 6. Like, for example, banks, they close at 4, which is unacceptable. But I checked the data, and as you can see that there are new ads posted new flat listings posted almost every hour of day. And even more important, that on Sunday there are even more postings than on Thursday. So people are really working on it. I don't know how real estate agents are taxed, but they should be taxed more for Sundays, I guess. Another insight was, I don't know how many of you have ever encountered this issue, but basically, as soon as you start actively applying for a flat, you after some time you would get an email which is saying that there is a beautiful flat in Maxvorstadt for only 600 or 500 euro, and you would be like, bam, I'm going there. I just want to get it instantly. Obviously, the problem would be that the next minute you will get another email that actually the landlord, is unfortunately not in Munich, and you have to handle it all online. They would send you a fake scan of some passport from some person, and they would ask you to send you money. Basically, I guess they are mostly hunting and trying to scam people who are new to the city, and it just may, because they are so desperate of getting something, especially when they are not in Munich, that they just send this 500 euro prepayment, and that's it. But anyway, so I plotted the average price distribution with the original data, and it looked suspicious to me because you can see this like extremely weird spike, and that's when I realized, when I checked, I went through the database and sorted out all the 500 euro flats. Basically, they were all scam flats, so it's not really hard to recognize one. And all right, there were, I guess, 2 flats in Pasing which were for 500 euro. So there is still something like that. Okay, and that would be pretty much the end of my speech. And I just want to say that it was extremely exciting project, and it was not something when you make a task for yourself and then you just do a project on some data and you're like, wow. And this one, it really helped us get a flat and actually get visits and everything. And it was so awesome to get some insights about Munich, and also I shared some of those insights. And I wanted to say thank you for your attention, and feel free to ask me questions. I would love to answer them. And if you want to connect and actually see the code, it's all public, and also the database pretty much. So you can find it on my GitHub. So I hope you enjoy it. Maybe you will do something interesting about it.